Hello, today we're going to learn Power Automate. Today I'm going to show you how can we send a collection to Power Automate. This is a simple example. Here we have a SharePoint list called cookie types under prices. We can add cookies to the shopping cart and see the total amount at the bottom. There's also a button that generates a ticket. When we press it, a flow will run and create the HTML file inside a SharePoint folder. Here we have the SharePoint folder. I will refresh it. And here we have the file. And this is the final look. Here we can see the table of items, also the total amount. Now let's see how the app works. For the add button in this gallery, we have a collect app function, and when clicking this button, the button will add to a collection, adding the ID, the product, and also the price. Here we have for empty shopping cart, and then for the main button, here we have a variable, and here we are setting this variable to a JSON format, because when sending a collection to Power Automate, you can send them as it is. You have to use this JSON format and then send it in the action. And also here we are sending the total amount. Then for the flow, we have this first action and it receives a JSON and the total amount. Then we have this parse JSON. And to allow the flow to read the information and then put it in the file, we use a parse JSON action, this one. Here I'm defining the structure, which contains two numbers and a string. For the next step, we have a create HTML table. Here I'm setting up a structure for the data and getting the information from the JSON action. Before we move forward to the next action, here in SharePoint, I have a template which will be used later in the flow so we can read the information. Here we have two fields. The first one is logo. I'm gonna replace this later in the flow, and then this one is date. I'm gonna replace it later in the flow also. So now we have this section, and it's called get file content. This will help me retrieve the HTML code from the file and then replace it with the information that I want. I also want to include a logo and the ticket, so I'm getting the content of the image. Here I'm initializing a variable called logo using the data year function. I'm converting the content of the file so it can be inserted into the HTML. Next, I'm initializing a variable called date. Here, I am replacing the tag in the HTML with the actual date. For the next step, I'm using a compose action to append the total at the end of the HTML. This total comes from the action at the top. Here, I'm initializing another variable which will handle the replacement for the logo image, like this. And finally, I have a create file action here. I'm creating a ticket which will include the logo image and then the table of the items and the total amount. Let's test the flow again. So here I'm going to open the cart. I'm gonna add this one. I'm also gonna add this white chocolate, and that's it. I'm gonna click print ticket, get back to my folder, close this. Then I'm gonna refresh it, and here it is. Here we have again the cookie type, the day. This is February 2025. And the product, the ID of the chocolate chip, ID of white chocolate macadamia, and the total amount.